Alright, we are back for another race here on iRacing. Today we are at Daytona. So recently I moved to the C class, which, to be honest, the class that you're in iRacing really doesn't matter aside from if you're in the pro class. It's not really an indication of skill by any means. The I rating is more an indication of skill, and that still has its caveats. But more for me, moving to the C class means there are more series that I'm now eligible to race. And one of those being the NASCAR C Class Fixed Series. So that's the equivalent to the NASCAR Truck Series. So once I became eligible, I purchased the Truck Series content here, or the C Class Series content. I purchased Daytona because that's the track of the week, and I figured I'd give some restrictor plate racing a shot here. So before this race, I did a few laps on the track, and really it comes down to being full throttle and just trying to hold your line. So this is my first race in this class, in the series, and also my first full restrictor plate race. Now we're still doing replays here because my PC again needs some upgrades in order to be able to handle recording live while also not having a major drop in frame rate. So unfortunately still on the replay bandwagon here, but you may notice we got some new plugins from Race Labs. So I found a way to get the live scoring and the live lap times off to the lower right hand corner, where we can see our competitors, we can see the gaps, and also we can see the class and I rating, and also the proposed I rating if you finish in that current position. And then on the top you have the live scoring scrolling across, which I think is really cool and I really like. So it makes commentating over these replays just a little bit better and a little bit more to what the race was really like. Now, this first lap, again, we all know a crash is going to happen. That's no surprise at all. It's going to happen. So I figured I'd back off here off the start, get out of that main draft where all those trucks are, and let them crash initially, and then once the field starts to sizzle down a bit and some of the competition crashes out, then towards the end we can do more of the pack racing. In the C-Class fixed NASCAR series, cautions are enabled, so if you crash, cautions do occur, so it's not as much of a free-for-all where we're just constantly avoiding wrecks during the race. We are able to reset and retry. Also for this race, there's supposed to be 25 laps, but with the rules package and everything, we're not able to finish under yellow, so we'll keep that in mind. And you may already see with the lap counter that we did more than 25 laps, so we can't keep it a surprise, I guess. But yeah, with this series, can't finish under caution. It's going to finish under green. So here, a truck went up the track and we get our first wreck. A lot of trucks involved in this one. I slam on the brakes here and get into the grass, but get around the wreck. No damage to my truck, and it looks like a few of these trucks are now out of the race effectively from the damage that they received. So now we're under caution. And just from that wreck, avoiding it, I went from 19th place to now 10th place. So there were 9 cars involved in that wreck. I had no idea while I was racing if I would need to pit and get some fuel or tires. I figured I would just wait and see what everyone else did, and if all the trucks start going down pit road, I would follow. If they don't, then I would just hope that it didn't come down to fuel mileage. So there were a couple of trucks that decided to go down pit road. I decided, you know what? Let's just stay out. So without pitting and avoiding that first wreck, we've managed to go from 19th place to now 5th place. That's just restrictor plate racing right there. Things can change very quick. But also, we are only 5 laps in to a 25 lap race. So crashes are going to happen, and they're going to happen often. Really, my only goal here is to finish the race. If I finish the race and cross the start-finish line in the number of laps that we're supposed to do, that is a win. This race isn't meant to increase my I rating, or it isn't meant to increase my safety rating. This is a horrible track to try and increase your safety rating because just how many wrecks there are, but my goal is to finish, and then we'll do the other races for this series throughout the season, and hopefully we can work on improving our finishing position. But I feel like just finishing at this track is a win. So we got the 1 to go now. We're lining up double file. With that first wreck out of the way, I figured, you know what? Let's use this as a learning opportunity, and let's try and see what it takes to race up front. Again, this is my first race at Daytona, so I have no experience with the draft here and drafting in these lines, and not being able to see in front of you, since all you can see is the rear bumper of that truck in front of you. So with that first wreck out of the way, yeah, let's run up front here, see what it takes to run up front, see what it feels like to be in the draft, and then if a wreck happens, then do whatever we can to avoid it, but really use this race as a learning experience. Going up through the gears here, coming to the green flag. We're now on lap 7. Got a horrible jump. I had to let up just a little bit, but we're a little bit behind the 4 cars in front of us, but the draft just pulls you right up to the rear bumper. And this was awesome. This was a lot of fun. say what you will about restrictor plate racing, and I have my own personal thoughts on this type of racing, but just in the moment, racing this was a ton of fun and very stressful because you have to pay attention to the car to your right, you have to pay attention to the car in front of you, and also the car behind you, because bump drafting in iRacing doesn't work very well, or at least for people of our skill level here. So I just let up when I get too close to the truck in front of me, and I'm avoiding it, trying to hit them, just again because I don't want to get disqualified for reaching the max number of instant points, because just because it's Daytona doesn't mean the instant points go away. So I got hit from behind right there. I don't know if that truck right there, I believe it's the number 10, if he thought that I was holding him up. I don't know how you could think that, but he hit my rear bumper, moved me out of the way, so I got shoved up to the top lane. It's still not a problem though. Top lane is still fast, and you can see just how much of a run I have on the trucks on my inside. The draft just really pulls you and sucks you in. We're still hanging out around 5th even after getting shoved out of the inside line. Thought the number 15 here was going to try and take it 3 wide, which would be a very bad idea in my opinion. I think 2 wide, especially for the trucks here, is more than enough, and furthering that, being on lap 10, so we're not even halfway through the race. Once we get to the last lap, do whatever you want, but let's keep it 2 wide for now. So here's where things get interesting. It's really easy to race here, I'll be honest. It's really easy to just race in the pack and be aware of your surroundings. It's just trying not to crash, because one mistake will send everyone into the wall. So you really have to be aware of the lapped cars, because once you get out of the draft, then you are significantly slower. And then it's only a matter of time before the cars in the draft catch up to you and start lapping you. And then when you're in the draft, you have to pay attention, because there's only so much track to move around on. And if you have a car right to your outside, you can't just veer off to the right, or else you're going to start crashing everybody. So things were getting a little squirrely, so I did let up just a little bit here, and I figured crash number 2 is only a few laps away, so I'm giving all these trucks in this first group as much room as I need so that I can brake when needed and get out of the way. Here's a lap truck on the inside, and that sets off a crash on the leaders here. So I brake really hard and managed to avoid the wreck, but looks like that number 10 truck was one that was involved in the initial banging of trucks in the front. Looks like he made it up to second, but he was racing me very aggressive, so once he got up to second place, still racing aggressive, and ultimately there was a lap truck on the inside. That set off another chain reaction and another crash. So unfortunately, this one took out the 2 leaders. Still managed to stay inside the top 10 for that entire stint before the caution came out. I started in 5th and worked my way back to, I believe, 10th at the lowest, and now up to 7th after a few trucks get taken out. So a few of these trucks got damaged from that crash, so they need to pit. But the rest of us stay out, and I'm back up to 5th after that crash. And we're now over halfway through this race, just about 10 laps to go. During these cautions, my anxiety level was through the roof. I was just trying to focus so hard on not crashing, and when we're in between the actual racing stints here, it just stressed me out. And it kind of adds to the frustration if you do crash after spending all this time in the race and going through all these cautions just to eventually crash later in the race. So we're coming up now on 1 to go before green, and we are going to have exactly 10 laps remaining in the race once the green flag comes out. You can see off to the left there are quite a few trucks that are now just sitting in the pits with extensive damage from now 2 pretty big crashes. During the caution, I was trying to roll around in 3rd gear just to keep my RPMs lower, because I'll be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I figured maybe if my RPMs are just a little bit lower, I might save some fuel. And then right before turn 4, I would shift down into 2nd gear, and I would restart in 2nd gear just to, again, get the RPMs up right away once we get going, but trying not to spin the tires, of course. So once again, restarting now in 5th place. So right there, shifted down into 2nd gear, and this is the gear that I'll be restarting in. We're not getting back off this time. We're going to stay in the lead draft because we are getting down into crunch time here. Green flag's out, so this time not a horrible start. We're not super far behind, but again, not a very great restart on my end. And Here the draft is just really pulling me in on the number 22. And 7 comes down on me. That was almost bad, but I let off and just let him in. Plenty of racing left. And after that, actually, I decided, you know what, let's go on the outside. I don't even want to mess with any of these trucks on the inside. So going on the outside here, getting a run on the number 3 truck. Make my way up to 5th place once again after getting passed. And it would be awesome for me just to go put the bumper to the number 3 and push us into the front, but I'm not risking getting instant points here, so I'm backing off if I'm getting too much of a run on the 3, and still using the draft a little bit, but probably not as effectively as I could be. And here the 3 gets a really big run and gets away from me, so he falls back after getting that run, and I get right back up to him. And then the 3 decides to go inside, and I follow since we clear the trucks behind us. And I'm kind of all over the place. I'm focusing on the 3, but my driving is all over the place, so the trucks behind me are kind of held up. But we make our way to 4th now. This is the best that we've been positioned all race. I decided, yeah, let's lock in with the 3 here. So whatever the 3 does, we're going to do. Aside from going to the outside here, not sure what the game plan was for me, but the 3 ends up going on the outside as well. It's just ahead of me, so I'm trying to catch up as best as I can, or as best as anyone could, just having the pedal to the metal and hoping you don't run into anything. So we're back to the bumper of the 3 now. Still in 5th place. And here you're really trusting the truck in front of you, because you saw I couldn't really see in front of the 3, so just hope that they don't do anything and there's not a slow truck in front of you where it would force him to brake, because we'd be crashing if that happened. But now we are really tight 2x2 going into turns 3 and 4. So that 4 truck just went into the outside wall, and then the 3 truck goes into the wall, and I hit the 3 truck, so I just got 4 instant points right there, but that was almost bad. Luckily, I didn't hit the 3 too hard, but now we are a little ways back from that first group, still in the top 10. A lot of these trucks are crashed out or seem to have backed off, because if you look in the rear view mirror, you can't see any other trucks. So everyone up here is in the front draft. And even after that incident with the 3, we're still right up here. It's almost like nothing happened. I don't think we damaged our truck by any means. There's a slow truck on the outside, so the truck's doing a good job just staying out of the way. Stay on the outside, hold your line. The 4 got stuck behind him though, so the 4 is now on our outside and we end up clearing him. And we now technically have 4 laps to go, or we were supposed to have 4 laps to go. You can only imagine what's about to happen. 3 laps to go now, this time by. Got 5 cars on the inside, or 5 trucks on the inside, 4 trucks on the outside. So top 9 are still all within this lead pack. Yeah, a lot of trucks have crashed out at this point. Sitting in 8th, and I'm really expecting a crash to happen here. It's only a matter of time, especially with so few laps to go. So now 2 laps to go. Things are starting to get squirrely up front here. People are swerving around all over the place. A lot of blocks being thrown, it looks like. So I had that all wrong. This is now 2 laps to go. Math is hard. So, yeah, this time it was technically 2 laps to go. And now people are getting really aggressive, and the number 3 gets blocked on the inside. The number 19 spins out. So we get a caution, and this leads to now a green-white checkered situation, also known as my worst nightmare, because we have to make it to at least the white flag in order for the race to be called. And I believe once the white flag gets thrown, then no cautions are thrown. People can wreck as much as they want, and ultimately all you have to do is make it across the finish line. But we almost made it to the last lap, but things were getting just way too aggressive up front, and that, again, that's just this type of racing. Across the start-finish line, we are in 7th, so lost 2 positions from the last restart, but I'm just trying to survive at this point. I've managed to avoid 3 wrecks, so I'd say that's a win, but I'm really pushing my luck, it seems. Personally, I think it's crazy to pit right now. I don't see why anyone would want to, but we'll see if any of these trucks in front of us decide to head down pit road. A few may have got damaged, but aside from that, I don't think there's a need for fuel or tires. My fuel gauge is still fairly full. Looks like 2 trucks are going down pit road, and I think those 2 were to some extent involved in the wreck that happened, so they may have got some damage. So with those 2 trucks moving down pit road, that puts me back up to 5th. So 5th place seems to be the spot for me with this race. And at this point, I'm just absolutely sweating. I am so nervous for this restart. A green-white checkered, so everyone is going to be all over the place. Truck on the outside right there got the free pass, so the number 13 truck is now back on the lead lap. That's one of the The things about having cautions is if you do go a lap down and a caution comes out, then you get your lap back. So now the 13 truck is back in the competition up front. So this time by, it's going to be 1 to go before green, so let's see this mess ensue. We're on the inside. That seemed to have worked out fairly well for us, and based off of what I've seen in others' videos and what some of the more experienced racers say, the inside is where you want to be. It's the best wreck avoidance that you can have, although I seem to prefer the outside lane. I don't know why, I just seem to prefer the outside lane, but the inside, if there is any wreck avoidance at this track, then the inside is where you potentially can do that, since there's a lot of track on the inside and a lot of grass on the inside that you can use to effectively get out of the way. On the outside, there's a wall that you can use to get out of the way, so I think that's where the theory of the inside being a little better comes from. Like I said, I seem to be a little bit faster on the outside, but that just is probably because more trucks are on the inside, so once I get in the draft, I can just drive by everyone that's racing on the inside. Stress level is absolutely through the roof right now. We have 2 laps to go, 1 green flag lap, 1 white flag lap, and then the checkered flag. Let's see if we can make it to the end. Shift back down into second gear. Green flag's out. 2 laps to go. We are in 5th place going into turn 1, inside line. People are going to be really aggressive here. There's not a lot of racing left. And technically speaking, now I don't necessarily agree with this, but technically speaking, if you crash someone and cause a major pileup, that's just less competition that you have to worry about in the next restart. So if there is a crash, then really you're just reducing the field size and increasing your potential to win. I tried the outside line. There's 3 trucks on the outside. The inside line seems to be a little bit faster. One of the trucks comes down here. We get the white flag, so the next flag ends the race. Or in this case, everyone can start crashing, and you just have to cross the start-finish line. So if there's a crash, no yellow is going to come out. It's just everyone on this lap is going to have to cross the start-finish line in order to be scored for the final race. People are really squirrely up front, all over the track. A lot of bumping, a lot of pushing coming into the final 2 turns before the start-finish. We are in 8th place, and a crash happens. Someone turns sideways. I get hit from the number 10, of course the number 10, and now I'm trying to avoid the wreck. The 21 comes up, and I hit the outside wall. I thought I was doing an okay job trying to avoid the wreck and try and make it through. My truck is severely damaged, and we're smoking, but we don't have very far before we make it to the finish line. We're limping it home. A truck's really gaining ground behind us, and they hit us. They don't make the pass though, and we finish in 7th place. So we managed to avoid wrecks all the way until the last lap, and then we got wrecked pretty bad on the last lap. But yeah, chaotic race, fun race. I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to trying out more of these NASCAR series and potentially even get into the NASCAR iRacing series where we can do some longer races as well. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one.